So let's begin. Because we're posting this online, many people might not have, known you before. Let's just start with some basic questions. What's your name, your degree year, your campaign color, and your slogan?
Sure. Okay. So first of all, I'd like to say hi to all my friends and basically anyone who's watching this video, this interview, because I'm actually about to reveal all the secrets that Sydney University doesn't want you to know. Okay. So I'm Amir and I'm the third year civil engineering student. I study at Sydney Uni, the University of Sydney. That day is very important. My color is black. And my slogan is happy ending is here again.
Thank you very much. Who's your campaign manager, or do you have any campaign managers?
Myself.
Is there any reason why you don't have a campaign manager?
Yeah, because of automation. Like you can do everything like with automation. You don't necessarily need to have a campaign manager. I've got like friends, but at the end of the day, I need to tell them what to do and what not to do. And I know that some of them are busy with assignments as well. So I decided to be my own campaign manager.
Could you expand a little bit about what you mean by automation?
Sure. In terms of the campaign thing. So basically, the way that you're going to promote stuff, promote yourself, like your mission, your goal, and basically getting your message out there. So all of these can be done by automation, like softwares that you can use for your campaigning. So instead of writing for people individually and having the campaign managers to write for you, you can just use softwares and automation to send things in bulk to thousands of people.
Okay.
Like the smart way.
Really taking advantage of the digital nature of this year's campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
Maddie, do you want to continue?
Yeah, great. So are you in a political party?
No.
Cool.
I mean, even if I am, yeah.
Well, could you just describe your political beliefs?
Sure. Okay. So for myself, I would say a bit towards Labour for myself, but for USU, independent.
Okay, great. And are you in a faction on campus? And have you, if not, no, have you campaigned for anyone before?
No.
Okay, so you've had no involvement with student politics whatsoever?
No.
Cool.
Okay, well, with that in mind, why are you running for USU Board this year?
Just give me 1 second.
Yep, no worries.
Sorry, yeah.
No, that's all good. So as I was saying, given that you don't have a history and you don't have a faction, why are you running for USU Board this year specifically?
Okay, because USU is completely different to having a fraction. So if it was SRC, I would say, okay, I'll have this fraction, that fraction. I know, the fraction is more important for SRC, but USU is all about student life. And basically, you can't really mix your own political background with thousands of students' political background, because most of them, they just want a improved student life, which you can't really use political background in USU to improve that.
Yeah, I understand, but why are you running this year? What are your reasons?
Okay, why I'm running? Okay, yeah. So that's because I found over 100 gaps at this university that I'd like to fill. And my goal is to basically boost the university to the level that it hasn't reached in its history, in USU's history. And I identified all those goals in the last year. So basically all of them are identified, the solutions are identified as well. And basically to fill those gaps that hasn't filled yet.
Okay, great. I'm sure we're going to get to those a bit later on when we talk about your policy. So I'm keen to hear about the 100 gaps. But what do you think makes you better placed than the other candidates running? What makes you unique? Why do people want to vote for you?
Okay. Firstly, I don't want to say I'm better, I'm the best, she's the worst, she's the best, I'm the something like that. But I leave the judgment to the students, yeah? So I'm going to talk about myself, my experience. So I worked in an embassy before, South Korean embassy, for managing events, basically cultural events. I learned a lot of things there. So that was like a real version of, let's say, um, university, okay, with a lot of responsibilities. So I learned a lot from there. And also in here, I'm the president of the Persian Society, in other words, Iranian Society. So we started that society like 2 years ago with 0 member, and now we have a large number of members. And now that society is established. And apart from that, as I mentioned, I'm a serial entrepreneur as well, not cereal that you eat for breakfast. But yeah, that means that I failed a lot. So I started business, some of them worked, some of them failed. I got broken sometimes, but at the end of the day, I learned a lot about how to manage stuff and how to commit to your work. When you start saying something, you need to finish that. The other thing is that I've got other backgrounds as well, like within IT or like negotiation, those skills, leadership, public speaking, and interesting things that also I've got mentors. I'm not sure if you know Tyler Lopez. He's among the top 10 mentors in the world. Basically, I I had him as the mentor, which I'm proud about that one. And the most important thing I would say is about listening to your audience, to the students, that what do they say, and how you're going to like implement strategies to meet their needs. That's something important because there are a lot of people that say, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but then they just stay without doing. So I'm a person that if I say something, I'll do it. And I'm pretty sure other candidates are like this as well. So I leave the judgment today, audience, to those opportunities.
Okay.
And just on the note of other candidates, so could you just kind of tell us which 2 candidates are your favorite, or the 2 that you're most similar with, and which are your least favorite, or the 2 that you're perhaps like least compatible with?
Definitely. Okay. So I've talked to nearly all the candidates, most of them. So with some of them, we've got the same like idea, same mindset, and I would say that. Do I need to say the name or what?
Yes.
Okay. I would say that there are some candidates, for example, Nick and Ben from Panda as well. We've got a similar like mindset. Yeah, I mean in general. Also, there are other candidates as well that we've got a lot of similarities. Yeah, but if I want to tell you that which are my favorites, I would say maybe Nick and Ben. Which are not my favorites, I have no answer. Because we've got similarity with all the candidates. Yeah, but some of similarities more with some specific candidates, some of them less.
So which candidates would you say you have like the least amount of similarities with?
Okay, Prudence.
Prudence? Okay.
Yeah, that's
why is that?
Okay, so what I understood that, which is my opinion. So basically, they are more of SRC. They are great, they are awesome, but I feel like they are made for SRC rather than USU. Because USU is about student life, SRC is more about political stuff.
Right. So you don't believe that politics have any place in the USU?
It has, but it's like 99% it doesn't, 1% it has.
You say that, but the 2 candidates you've identified, Ben Hines and Nick Rigby, they're both fairly active members of the Young Liberals.
Yeah.
So do you think you can be compatible with them even if they begin to kind of bring those political ideas in? Or would you try to resist that?
No, I'm not gonna like resist that idea of the political stuff, but we're not gonna like combine that with viewers. We're not gonna combine that with thousands of students.
Okay, I understand. And also just expanding on something you said before. You said your mindset is similar to Ben and Nick. Do you think you could go into a little more detail about what you mean by mindset?
Okay, yeah. So the mindset depends on many factors, like your goals, which I'm pretty sure that might be another question. That what are the goals? So the goals, the mission, and how you're going to implement your ideology, the way that you think, and the way that you believe you're going to like make a change to the university. So I'm going to call that as that similarity or mindset. Because at the end of the day, the people who got like elected, they need to have the same mindset because they're going to work in a team. Now imagine a team with like different, very opposite mindset that each of them wants to like convince others that I'm better. That's going to be hard. Therefore, it's going to be hard to manage this.
Right. And in terms of having like the same mindsets as Ben and Nick, and obviously the politics of the board, a pretty like big issue of contention recently has been the Ramsay Centre, which is obviously quite intensely political, and Ben and Nick are going to have a certain kind of response to that. Do you think that you would be compatible with them on that issue, or is that where you see some issues could arise?
I would say I'm compatible. You mean that their political background?
Yeah, in terms of like their response to the Ramsay Centre, because you said earlier that you were more aligned with Labor, and I guess like kind of the overwhelming Labor position on something like the Ramsay Centre is that they're against it, whereas the Liberals would be in favour of it. So I'm just kind of curious as to why you've kind of aligned yourself with these two Liberal candidates. Like, do you not perceive that there would be some kind of issue when it comes to things like the Ramsay Centre, or do you agree more with that side of politics?
Okay, I didn't say I'm with Liberal or like with Labor. I said I'm Labor, like for myself. If it's Labor, but I'm more independent, and I know that they are moderate Liberals. Yeah.
Ben Hines isn't really a moderate Liberal though. Ben Hines is in a conservative Liberal faction.
Okay. But what I understood that is that in terms of like combining, it is important is that I don't want to affect students with our own politics. Yeah. So that's very important. What I understood with all the candidates is that, for example, you said Ben to me is, I'm pretty sure he has, as you say, is like liberal, but towards like center.
Right, but I mean, the Ramsay Centre is something that does affect all students, as it was like a proposed degree being introduced into the university that then became like a political issue. So there are political issues that do affect students. I'm just kind of curious as to how you would interact with them, given that you've said that you think that politics is only 1% of the USU's operations.
Okay, yeah. Even better if the thing that you said it happens, that's a good thing because we have them in the political side. Because I'm not in that political stuff. So if we have people like that, it's going to be a bonus for us. But I'm going to tell you actually later that why I said 1%. And that's because of the tasks that USU does and the financial resources.
Right. So when it comes to political stuff, you're more likely to kind of abstain from it.
Yeah, I don't want to combine that with like students. There is
Okay.
no.
Okay, so let's move on to the financials then, if we're going to, stop talking about politics. If you had to cut $1 million from the USU's budget, where would you cut it from?
Okay, so basically there are some, the programs that USU run last year. Some of them were good, some of them were bad. I'm not going to say bad, but some of them were less effective. So we need to prioritize them. For example, like Incubate was one of them that I'm pretty sure, because I myself, I tried to start one business now, I failed. Yeah. But Incubate receives a lot of money from USU's budget. Okay. And you can see from the nice building, which is just there. I'm in the ISL building now. Incubate is just there. It's a very fancy, beautiful building. But I would say there are maybe like 25 or 30 members that are working in Incubate. Apart from that, there are startups launching from Incubate, which are not a lot. So basically, it's the minority of thousands of students. Yeah, but a lot of money from USU is concentrated in Incubate. We also, at the same time, Incubate receives a lot of money from outside. Yeah, from like investors, those sort of things. So if we want to prioritize stuff, I would say Incubate will be something that we can cut that budget because they already have like partners from outside.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the kind of unprecedented times we're currently living in, especially the USU's current financial situation that's happened as a result of the COVID crisis. Do you think the staff at the USU, who the majority of which got stood down recently, do you think that was a necessary decision as a result of the decrease of money coming in?
So there are two aspects that we need to consider for this question. So we've got financial aspect and then the health aspect for the students and for the members. So for the financial one, I'll tell you an example. In 2017, like USU profited for like 700,000. 2018, they had a loss of nearly half a million, 500,000. Yeah. Now this happened. Definitely, their loss going to be higher. Yeah. Which is a very bad thing for USU for sure. But so if, as I said, there are two aspects, health and financial. The health thing is more important rather than the financial aspect. Yeah. Also, we've got the rules, so USU can't really do anything about that. I mean, operating like normal because of the restrictions. However, they are still like operating a bit, yeah, but not like that. So definitely, they're gonna lose a lot of money again this year, and it's going to be a very hard year for us.
So you support the decision to lay off the staff?
Sorry?
So do you support the decision to lay off and stand down the staff?
You mean close USU?
No, I mean like as in do you specifically support the USU's decision to fire like a quite a large proportion of its staff?
I mean, I would say yes. Yeah, yes, but temporarily, not like forever. Why? Again, because of the loss that I just mentioned. For example, if they fire someone, that doesn't mean that they're not going to come back. They will come back. Yeah, but at this time, I mean, they can't.
Okay. Do you think that the CEO, heads of department, and board directors should be taking a pay cut then, in order to try to save some of the staff, or just in general during this crisis?
Taking a what?
A pay cut?
You mean reducing
reducing their income? Yes.
Okay. Yeah. What I feel like is that the income, you know, Elon Musk basically said that your salary is based on your value. Yes, based on the things that you do. Okay. So sometimes the responsibility is high, and then yeah, you get a lot of money. Okay, so that's okay, I would say. But sometimes you don't have enough responsibility. However, you have that name. For example, your CEO, basically using that name to get a lot of salary. Let's say, yeah. For this time, I mean, we don't have that there are responsibility. However, in terms of the effort that they put, there is not a lot of effort put because everything is like so relaxed. Therefore, USU can like cut the salary. That means that they're gonna basically cut the losses.
Okay, so because they're not doing much work, you think?
Exactly. I mean, everywhere's closed. Everywhere's closed. So basically, do you want me to go in more detail?
I think it should be fine. We might come back to a similar question.
I've got the financial thing if you want. Okay.
Oh, the financial document they sent you?
Sorry?
The financial documents they sent you?
No, I mean the one that I understood, like the analysis of that document.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Well, just a couple more questions maybe on the financials as well. with the current precarious situation where the USU is suffering huge losses, would you support or stand against a university takeover of the union in order to try to, bring it back into profits? Why or why not?
You mean, is it possible or not?
No, I'm asking, would you support a university takeover of the union? So if the University of Sydney took over the running of the union and not the board directors, for example.
Okay. So for this question, if the board directors they run, they're gonna have like certain experience, yeah, because they have already run from 1874, yeah. So the experience is built on. That means like the directors that are working now, they know like the positives and the negatives of USU and how it works. But then if we want to give USU, the union, to Sydney University, the responsibility of the university will be way too much, because university, one of the hardest things for Sydney University is the online platform, the Zoom that we're talking now. So that's a hard decision for uni. So there is already a lot of responsibility on Sydney University. Now imagine what would happen if we combine union with UCS. It's going to be very hard to control.
So you wouldn't support the university, like you wouldn't support a university takeover if it was proposed?
No.
No? Cool.
Okay.
I guess just kind of like a last financial question. Do you think that the free access introduced last year is still viable given the USU's current financial state?
It was a good move. It was a good move because, psychologically, a lot of students don't like to pay first for something and then see how things work. They're introducing that one. The number of members for all the clubs has increased. I'm pretty sure about that. I'm not sure about the actual number, but I can guarantee the number increased. Why? Because access was free. However, in terms of the profit, I still like the free access, but then the profit can be like USU can think about other strategies to make like profit.
Cool.
While having the free access.
Great. So what is your opinion on how successful the current board has been? And specifically, what is your opinion on Connor Werrett's presidency?
Okay. So the current board, I love some of the things that they introduced. So, well, some of them like they renovated and built some new things like the cafes. For example, they improved the quality of the food, those sort of things. I know that it's like a teamwork. As the board and the president himself. Also, for example, the poll thing, that I love that idea because of the environment sustainability, that they use the online platform for that and encouraging students to join. There were others as well. Yeah, Incubate was for the last year too. But then I feel like in terms of budgeting, they sort of too much budget for Incubate. I mentioned that earlier. There were others as well that I actually loved. Free membership and some of the things that they implemented but haven't been implemented successfully are, for example, moving to WeChat because it's sort of new for USU. So that means in the following years, we need to improve those aspects.
Okay. So what kind of USU CEO do you want? So clearly, so obviously in the USU, there's a kind of like hierarchy. There's board directors. There's also a CEO overseeing everything. Obviously, recently, last year with the hire of Alexis Reutemann, what kind of USU CEO do you think you want, or what should their role be?
Okay, so I read the biography of Alexis. She's very experienced. Yeah, I love that leadership because, well, if you're a CEO, your name tells everything. That you need to have a good leadership skills like negotiation, time management, risk management. Risk management is very important, I would say. and USU struggled last year and probably this year. So an ideal CEO is a person who acts like CEO. So they need to be a good leader, and they need to have to direct the whole union in the right direction. Also, they need to work with a board to make sure that everything is implemented correctly and for the students.
Okay, maybe just one more question broadly about the USU before we get into your specific policies. What role do you think Pulp plays in reporting on the USU? So Pulp is the USU's student publication. Do you think the current editorial team is too afraid to criticize the USU, or do you think that the USU has too much control over what Pulp publishes? Basically, what role do you think Pulp should have?
In one word, I would say awareness, but at the same time, Pulp need to act smart as well, which I'm pretty sure you guys definitely act smart. So you know what to buy to at the same time to support USU and make a little make that engaging for the students to engage with Pulp as something new.
So you're saying Pulp should try to support the USU when it can?
Pulp, because Pulp is for university, I'm not going to say Pulp should be working for USU and hiding the bad things about USU, but Pulp should be transparent. That's what the publications should be, but in the reality, most of them not.
Okay, but Pulp is the USU's publication.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you think they should be transparent when they support the USU, or what do you mean exactly?
Yes.
Okay.
It should be transparent because me as a student, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of students, they like transparency.
Okay.
Everyone trusts it.
Well, I know you mentioned before about your 100 gaps. Let's move into it, although we don't have time for all 100, obviously.
That's why I said 100.
In this interview, what would you say your overall policy priority is?
Okay.
If you had to pick a priority?
Definitely. So there are 3 policies. So in terms of priority, first, I would say events and societies. There is a reason behind that, because I'm pretty sure that students who are watching this, they're gonna ask, and I'm pretty sure they all pay the SSAF fee, and they are actually not sure what is that for. It's like a waste of money, to be honest. Yeah. So basically, with the events and societies, we pay that amount, and it's like a revenue for USU. Why? Because they profited for 4 million last year just SSAF. Yeah. SSFA. Yeah. So 4 million, that's a large number. So that needs to be spent wisely. So what do I mean by events and clubs? At the moment, we've got 250 clubs. So one of my goals is to increase that by 100, so to 350. Yeah, and that 100 club will all be based on students' idea. Yeah, so basically we're going to add like 100 extra clubs for the students based on their ideas. Apart from that, I love the collaboration between clubs and societies. So there isn't a lot of collaboration at the moment, because I know myself, because I'm the president of one of the societies itself. But by collaborating, you not only engage students to the USU, but also it affects the friendship and mental parts, those sort of it has psychological impact on the students as well, which is about the student life. Apart from that, increase in the budget for the clubs and societies. I know that the clubs and societies are based on expense, which is it's not a good structure for managing that budget. Also, the budget needs to be increased for all the societies, so they can have more events those sort of things, and also who doesn't love partying? So everyone, I would say, love partying, to go and like dance. You definitely remember they open, yeah, the first party in every year. That's one of the most famous parties that everyone comes. For example, this was a video. I'm pretty sure that you know. This is me actually. So that's for that party, and everyone apparently loves that. Yeah, we need to have more of those. We need to have more of these. So that was one of the goals. The other one is about the infrastructure of the USU. What do I mean by that? So basically, we need to improve the food quality. What I was thinking of adding about 100 different types of foods for like different students with different tastes. And if it can be possible, it's free delivery on campus, because I'm sure that we don't have free delivery on campus. But what would happen if we have USU free delivery? That would be very awesome. Okay. Also, study spaces needs to be increased. It needs to be like more modern. And definitely, I'm sure that those who are watching me, you definitely seen the broken microwaves in Fisher and like other buildings. So basically, that's USC needs to sort of monitor that and fix it. But I remember there was a microwave for like 2 months in Fisher, level 3, was broken. Yeah, and it hasn't been fixed. I'm not sure if it's fixed now or not. And also sanitation and sanitary items for women. These are the important things in terms of the second goal, which was infrastructure. And the third goal is all about support. This year, we'll increase the support by like 10 times more than last year. What do I mean by that? Mental support, health support. I know anxiety is so much, it's too much. It's like 35% at Sydney University. And interesting is helping students to find job. So that's something very important. I know there are workshops going on, but by job I mean professional job. You're all students who need a job, so we help them to find a job. And what I was just analyzed that we can even double or triple the number of students who find their dream job this year. And we've got other supports as well, like those who want to like to move out, or like they are looking for accommodation, those sort of things, and support in the crisis like COVID-19.
Okay, Amir, thanks for that really thorough answer. I've just got a little bit of a concern though. So you said that you were going to increase the clubs by 100, you're going to add 100 new foods, you're going to introduce all these new services, increase support 10 times over. And yet you identified, just a few minutes ago, the kind of financial struggles that the USU is going through.
Yep.
How do you think it's going to be possible to, hold all these parties and open up these new clubs, which all need funding, as you said, all need increased funding?
Exactly.
How are you gonna manage that? I'm not sure.
So it all depends on the art of marketing and management, the way that USU wants to market and manage. So that means, for example, USU sometimes can upsell, some events, or like basically creating new clubs that are basically charges students in some other ways while having like a free access card as well. So these depends on like the art of, I would say, marketing and management, that the way USU will deal with. But all of these are possible.
So essentially you're saying the USU should try to increase the number of student transactions in general, in terms of even in the clubs as well, trying to get students to spend more often. And that's how you'll do the policies.
Wait, I'll tell you something. If you add 100 foods, it's like a win-win. For a student myself, I love to eat the food that I like. Yeah? And by that means a lot of students will like buy those foods. That's just a simple example. And they will enjoy their food. At the same time, USU will profit from that. That's like a cycle. One more thing, I said it's art of management as well. USU lost about $600,000 last year because of the impairment of software CRM Salesforce that they were using. 600,000. That's like more than half a million. So that's the risk management part and the management part. Imagine that, because this happened in 2018, they lost this money. Then in 2017, it was zero. It's the loss due to impairment. If we manage that one, definitely we can add all these things that I've said.
Okay. With that being said, how about we talk a little bit about your business credentials then? Because it seems like you're saying that, by getting on board, you can bring a lot of business experience and help with risk management, with marketing and things like that.
Yeah.
So in terms of your business credentials, according to LinkedIn, you're the director of a marketing company, High Digitals. Will you be resigning from this position if elected to board to focus on the board, or why not?
No. I'm not going to resign, but what I'm going to do is use that experience to improve this.
So sorry, Maddie, do you want to maybe take over?
Do you not see a conflict in being director of a company and then being on the USU board in terms of?
Definitely. No. You know why? Because being on the board for USU, you need to commit a couple of hours, like about 24 hours a week. Yeah. And I myself, I'm the person who wakes up at 4, sleeps at 10. So I would say I work 16 hours. My goal is 18 hours a day. And I actually love that. So you definitely can commit to USU, work 20 hours a week. That's nothing. But at the same time, because you already have that experience, so that 20 hours, even you can do the same thing in 10 hours.
Okay. I guess just kind of looking more at your company, which is something that we're quite curious about. So in its promotional materials, it states that it's helping 500 plus businesses directly boost revenue. It's listed as only being registered in January of this year, and the website is still under construction. How has this growth been possible? And I guess also how do you have 1,000 Instagram followers despite only being posting since the start of April?
Okay, yeah. So for the business, actually, I actually know that you searched the ABN. By the way, thanks for marketing the business. So that business is an international business. So it's based back in my country, Iran. We have clients from all over the world. I've seen a very, very good opportunity in here in Australia because we're the only agency that offers a wide range of services for marketing in Australia. So basically, I registered that one last year.
Okay, so how many clients do you have in Australia then? What's that looking like?
So in Australia, we are working on the Australian clients. We have meeting with some of them, but I would say that we have most of 90% of the Persian community in Australia.
Okay. All right. So
you asked another question as well. Why I have a large number of Instagram? Was it?
Yeah, well, you have 1,000 Instagram followers despite only posting since the start of April, which seems like quite an impressive follower count to us if you think about it in terms of the ratio of likes on your images as well as how long the account's been active. We're just kind of wondering how you marketed yourself to get that many followers.
I haven't marketed myself, but I invested on myself. Yeah. I play the piano and I love playing the piano. And I'm near the piano. So I post a lot of posts piano and my interests, which probably my other interests. So I made a audience and they love my content, so they follow me. That's the simple strategy behind it. It's all about content that you put out. It's like Gary Vaynerchuk. It's all about content.
So you think when you get on the USU board, will you think you'll attract lots of people with your character. Is that what you're saying? In a similar way?
If we share the same interests. I mean, if I play the piano, if someone hates music, no.
Right.
Yeah, you get me.
Yep.
I just have like just a quick couple last questions based on just like policy stuff. So in the I guess the statement that you sent us, you said that you were running for the position of president of the USU, but the election of president of the USU is separate to the one that you're running in currently. I'm just kind of like wondering like what you mean by that.
That was for the future, yeah. And also, I knew that a lot of candidates won't write the word president. So are intentional with that.
Right. So you'll be running, this is you indicating your wish to run for president next year.
To just get the familiarity. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Interesting. And we're also just kind of wondering, you mentioned dating in your policy statement given to us. How will you specifically improve dating on campus?
As I said, that 35% depression was due to, that 35% was about anxiety, depression, and friendship and relationship factors. So basically, there are a lot of students that they have a bad experience about dating. For example, they had breakups, those sort of things. It's very hard to break up, by the way. Yeah, I haven't experienced myself, but it is very hard. So we need to help them first. Also, there are a lot of singles at university like myself. By those dating programs, we can find people that share the same interests. For example, if I love piano, we designed the dating thing for like musicians, for example.
Is suggesting that the USU would design like a dating program and run it as a service.
Yes, why not? I mean, that SSFA fee can be used for these things.
Right. Chuyi, do you have any other questions?
No, I think we're I've gotten a pretty good impression.
Cool, good stuff.
Do you want to add anything else before we let you go? Any final words to the viewers?
Not really. I mean, they can already understand that, like, what are my missions, what are my goals. If they like my mindset and if they agree, they can then vote and support so we can get the message out there, and basically me as one candidate help to get the message and send to USU to change stuff.
All right. Thanks so much, Amir.
Thanks, Amir. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.